what's up everyone? Today we're going to kind of turn it around a little bit. You're going to hear us talk a lot about the big four, we like to call them: your chicken, your ribs, pork shoulders, briskets, big cuts of meat. We spend a lot of time cooking that, but we also want to do a series of episodes that focus on something that maybe you can do a little bit faster. You have some friends coming over that you didn't expect. You get home on a weeknight, you want something really tasty to come off the grill, you just don't want to cook inside. So those are kind of what we're going to focus on, and this is one of those episodes. We're going to talk about something that maybe doesn't walk, maybe swims. Or does swim for that matter. Today we're going to be doing salmon, and it's kind of something that's fun, it's unique. You can put it on your grill, you can smoke it. We're going to do it on cedar planks today, so it kind of adds that dimension, a little bit more smokiness. You can kind of decorate around it. You can make it very appetizing, very appealing if you have guests coming over. You want to impress it. So we're going to do a bourbon glazed salmon on cedar planks, and we're going to do a bacon wrap asparagus. And when we do that, when we finish it all up, you're going to see the presentation, and let me tell you, it is one delicious recipe. So stay with us. We're going to season it, trim it a little bit so that it has a good presentation, and then we're going to put it on the smoker and let you guys see how it turns out. All right, so today we're going to be using this beautiful piece of steelhead salmon that we have right here. So it's going to be a skin on. You can see the skin on the back. It's a nice size fillet. It's got a good center part right here. This is where we're going to focus all our attention, is this center part. So not a lot of trimming. You don't have to do any of this at home if you don't want to. I like to do it because if we focus on the center part, we're going to get an even cook. It's going to present better if we put it on a plate. The thinner parts, as we've talked about in other meats, the thinner parts are always going to cook faster. So if we can get it so that it's good and even, level, flat, it's going to make that cook time a lot more consistent. So we're just going to take the tail off, and we're going to go right up. There's kind of, I don't know if you can see it in the camera or not, but there's kind of a line right in here where that fillet drops off and gets thin. So I'm just gonna come in here and go right across that, square that piece up. And the same thing on this side, more so just to square it up and get rid of that. So it does a couple of things. Like I say, it's going to make it so that this part here cooks out very even. It's about the same thickness from front to back. And then the other thing that it does is it's going to make it so it fits our cedar planks very nice, and so that you got some space on there to let it just kind of sit on those cedar planks. Like I say, you don't have to do any of that trimming at home. We like to trim it. We're always thinking about presentation, and we have guests over, and how's it going to look when we go to plate it and bring it out in front of them. So that's really all that we're going to be worried about with that salmon. Not a whole lot to it. We're going to season this today with our chicken rub. Our rubs are very versatile. You know, you could call any of them an all-purpose rub. It just kind of, how do you want it? Do you want a little more sweet and savory with our chicken rub, on up to a little bit more spicy and black pepper with our brisket rub or our beef rub? So you can really use them as you wish. They go well on anything. I like the sweetness and the sugars in the chicken rub on this salmon, and it's going to give it a really nice, again, that red color that we're going for. It's always about how do we make it look really, really tasty. We want people to be kind of drooling over it before they even get to taste it. So we're just going to put a light coat on this fish. No need to do a lot. We're trying to get that color on there. A little bit of flavor. Again, this chicken rub is sweet and savory. It's got a good salt content. Yeah, we just don't need to do a lot. Pat it in. This isn't a real thick cut of fish. We're not cooking it to a high temperature to try and get it tender. So there's not a real need to let it rest for very long. We've had our planks soaking in water for about 30 minutes. We're going to bring them out. We're going to put it on that plank. We're going to get it out to the grill. We're going to smoke it at about 360 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes is all it's going to take. Looking for an internal temperature of 145 to finish. One thing you'll notice is these white fats in here. If they start to run out too much, that means you've overcooked that salmon. It's going to be dry. So one thing that we're really going to watch for. But we're going to get what we need done on here. We're going to get it out to the grill, and we'll see you out there, and we'll talk a little bit about what we're going to do.
Hey everyone, we're out here now getting ready to put Tyrell's salmon on the grill. We're using the Traeger Ironwood. This is their newest series, and it's an amazing grill. The more we use it, the more we like it. You can see how fast it's recovering, how fast that temperature is coming up. They've insulated it. They've made great improvements. It's just an amazing grill. So we'll put this salmon on. And if you haven't looked at an Ironwood Traeger grill recently, you need to look at it. It's a friggin' amazing grill.
All right, now that we got our salmon going out there, it's time to work on a little bit of a side. We want something that's delicate and that can go with it. It's going to be green. It's going to look good when we present this to our guests or anybody that's joining us. But what I like to do is take something that's kind of delicate and light, mix it with something that has a little bit of fat content to it. It adds to the richness of it. So what we're going to do is a bacon wrapped bourbon glazed asparagus. So let's get started. So all you're going to do is we're going to do 2 asparagus per bacon wrap. We're going to take and cut off the ends. They're pretty woody. They're not going to really add anything to it. It's going to be hard to cook it to the point where it's tender. So we'll get rid of that. Take your piece of bacon, fold it over, wrap it. If you do this right, you won't need a toothpick. We'll do that. Do that a couple more times. If you I always just leave the thin part for the end. It's easier. It's got a lot of fat in it. It'll kind of melt together, kind of hold in place as we work with it and get it out to the grill and back in. I'm gonna wrap it up fairly tight. Okay, now that we got a couple of those done, we're just gonna hit them with our pork rub to add just a little bit of flavor to that bacon. Again, not a lot. Those are going to go on the grill for about 15 or 20 minutes, so they're good now that we've got the salmon's been on there for a little while. These can go on there. They're going to get a touch of smoke. They're going to get the bacon's going to melt away and leave kind of a nice fatty texture to offset the crispness of that asparagus. So we don't want to overcook the asparagus. We don't want to burn the tips of them. They'll get crunchy, so it's just trying to manage our time, get it right. About 10-15 minutes, I would say, on these. They'll be a great side to add to that nice light piece of fish. All right, so we're back out at the grill now. The salmon's been on for about 25 minutes. It smells delicious out here. I can't wait to get this glaze on it and get it back inside so we can try it. So let's open it up. Let's see what we got. The asparagus has also been on for about 15 minutes. That bacon's cooked out. Asparagus is tender. Rick's gonna hit that with the glaze as well as our salmon. So let's talk real quick about that glaze. We have brown sugar, we have bourbon, we have soy sauce, we've got lime juice, ginger, and garlic in there. We want the acidity of the lime juice mixed with that umami of the soy sauce. The ginger and garlic and brown sugar really add a sweetness and a little bit of zip to it. And of course the bourbon in there, because everything tastes better with a little bourbon. We're gonna give this about 5 minutes to set. And while that's doing that, we're gonna go inside. We're gonna make one of my favorite cocktails, because what's a good salmon glaze or bourbon glazed salmon without something that has a little bourbon in it to drink? All right, guys, right now I wanna show you one of my favorite drinks that I make when I have friends around, friends over, or if I'm just sitting around and I want a good cocktail to go with our barbecue. This is what I'm gonna make. It's called the Sazerac. So let's get started. First thing you're gonna need to make a Sazerac is a shaker, a measure, an orange, some simple syrup, which is simply 1 part water to 1 part sugar. We make that at home ahead of time. And then your glass. So let's get started. We start with a good rye whiskey. The reason we use rye whiskey is because we want to have that spiciness of a rye as opposed to a sweetness of a bourbon. So in our shaker that has some ice in it, we're going to add 2 ounces of rye whiskey. Use any type of rye you want. Today we're using a rye whiskey from Montgomery Distillery in Missoula, Montana. It's a really good rye. It's got a good balance of flavors to it. The next thing we're going to add is 1 ounce of our homemade simple syrup. And we're going to use 3 to 4 dashes of bitters. We use orange bitters in this one because we want a little bit of a citrus flavor to add to it, and we're going to put an orange peel in there. So 3 to 4 dashes of that. And now that's done. So we can set that aside, and we need to prepare our glass. And to prepare our glass, we use an absinthe. We use a pure absinthe. We feel it's important. It adds a good flavor to it. There's some brands out there that maybe aren't a pure absinthe. I would recommend finding one there. It's a little more expensive, but it's well worth it. So we just add a dash into there. Woohoo! Put the bottle top back in, and we're just going to swirl it around and then we're gonna toss it away. You don't really drink it. It's more there for the flavor. It's got a good black licorice flavor that adds to the drink. We have our orange and a peeler, and we just wanna take a nice long peel off of there. Again, we just want the citrus flavors a little bit that we get from that orange peel. So we take it, give it a twist, into the glass we go. Now with our shaker, we've got all our cocktail, our mixture in there. We're just gonna give it a little bit of a shake. Pop our top, into the glass we go. And that right there is how we make a Sazerac. It's a really nice light drink. It's got good flavors, the simple syrup. We add way more bourbon, double the bourbon as our rye whiskey as opposed to the simple syrup because we want that spiciness to come through. Let's try it out. All right there, it's happiness in a glass. All right guys, so we're back inside. We've got our bourbon glazed salmon on the cedar plank here, ready to cut up and present and serve to our guests. We've got our cocktails ready to go. Let's check the temp with our thermopin.
Man, I can smell it. It smells great. It's awesome. I can't wait to get into it.
You can see that temperature's just right, 147. It's right between that 145, 150 mark. You can see the fat that we talked about is just starting to come to the top. It means we've cooked it just right. So before we put it on the plates, let's do like we always do. Let's cut the tips and the tails and try it out. See it just flaking apart. Super moist, super tender. All right, let's try it out. Grab your piece there, Rick. Give it a try. See the steam just coming off of it.
Wow, that is moist.
Man, that flavor, that bourbon glaze on top of the sweetness just adds a nice level of flavor. The fat in that salmon, super tender. It is so flavorful, goes really good with our bourbon drinks. And I tell you what, for something you can cook in under an hour, under 45 minutes for that matter, with what we're gonna pair it with that asparagus, this would make one really, really nice meal for a weeknight, or if you really want to impress your guests, this is the way to go. So try it out. You can find the recipes for everything online on our website, and enjoy it.
Remember, it's a great meal. Should we have a cocktail? Have a drink?
Cheers.
All right, cheers.